I'm a Dominican poet and spoken word artist, writing poetry my whole life in both English and Spanish. Poetry has always been a way for me to express my innermost feelings in a way that allows others to feel what I'm feeling. Shortly after I started getting into performances, I realized that there were no platforms that were bilingual. So in the spirit of Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come, I created an open mic, a bilingual one for artists like me. The open mic gave me an opportunity to create a space for people to find themselves, to find healing, to find their magic, to transform. A quiet little wallflower could become an extraordinary poet or a singer with the voice of an angel, and I fell in love with that process. After a while, the open mic gained a little momentum, and I built a little reputation for myself, and that resulted in me getting a phone call from a woman named Laura Smith. Laura was teaching a group of artists, young artists that identified as women, and these young girls were tasked with finding women in our community that were uplifting and empowering and doing positive things for our community. I just so happened to make it onto this list, right? So Laura tells me she wants me to come in to interview with the girls, and I was like, great. I was honored, and day of the interview comes. I roll up into this interview, and I meet these babies. I mean, I call them babies, but they're teenagers, you know. So they ask me all sorts of questions, you know, how did you get started? What inspires you? What keeps you going? And after they finished with all their questions, one of the little girls asked me, would it be okay if we took a few pictures of you in different poses for our project? I was like, sure. And I get up, and the first one I give them, I put my hand down like this, and I look at them and I say, my father always taught me that if you're ever gonna look down at somebody, let it only be to help them up. And we all took pictures, and it was amazing. I walk out of there on cloud 19,000, right? I get in my car, and I take a deep breath, and my reality hits me like a ton of bricks. What I didn't tell those girls was that I was about to lose my apartment. I was about to lose my home because I had to pay money that I didn't have. I was working with Lyft. I got Lyft because I needed a car, and it was a way to make money, but it was more like a catch-22. Whenever I had enough money for gas, I didn't have enough money to pay for the rental. Whenever the rental fees were covered, I didn't have enough money for gas. Being a struggling single mother, it wasn't the first time that we lost a home. But this time felt different. This time the despair was like a mammoth on my chest. I couldn't breathe. I felt like a failure. To see my two boys in the back seat falling asleep, surrounded by backpacks and trash bags and bags filled with clothes, while I rode around town waiting for somebody to pick up the phone and say, yes, you could stay over here. And say yes in a way that wouldn't make me feel like I was burdening them or being an inconvenience. The rest of the world didn't know what I was going through. Chalk it up to shame, chalk it up to pride. I wear a good poker face. If I don't want you to know, you won't know. Fast forward a couple of weeks, I'm grinding, I'm cleaning houses, my son got a job, I'm taking him to work, right? We're on our way to his job, and we're at a red light. And as we're at this red light, my son looks over at me and says, Mom, you're on a wall. What do you mean I'm on a wall? And I look to my left. It was a beautiful version of me. I was standing on what seemed like a cloud of vibrant flowers and hummingbirds and butterflies and bumblebees. And not just that, but these babies got my afro on point, and my hoops was shining, honey. But that wasn't the best of it. The best was that out of all of the poses that I gave them, they chose the very first one, the one about my dad. My dad is everything to me. My dad was always there. He was always present. He could fix everything. He could fix anything. He gave great advice. And this was one of the greatest lessons my father ever taught me. And that was here on this wall. And as I saw this vision of myself, I couldn't help but wonder, if these babies knew what I was going through, would they still have chosen me? But then I got back to it, and I remembered, that's my dad. So I called my dad on video phone. I called him on video chat. I said, Papi, I'm on a wall. He's like, what, you on a wall? I said, yes, look. And I told him the story about everything. He's like, oh my God, mija. Estoy tan orgulloso de ti. Making him proud made me proud. It was them seeing me, past all of my struggles, past all of my hardships, they saw me and they chose me. And that was magical. I didn't see those girls again until September 24th, 2018. I remember the date vividly because I had just buried my father 3 days prior. So when I met with those girls there, I told them all about how important their work was. I told them that my father had passed, and that because of what they did, because they chose me, I was able to give my father the gift of his legacy before he passed. And I told these girls, I said, what you've done for me, you gave me strength at a time where I didn't have it. You gave me hope at a time that I didn't have it. So all I could tell you is that when life happens, because it will, don't give up. Believe in yourself. Trust the process. And in your darkest moments, remember you are light.